Vote for me and I'll set you free.
It's just another word for nothing left to lose. Over me.
All right, folks, you certainly know what that theme song means by now. It's another live episode with gubernatorial candidate Leo Zaki. Shannon Lawson is co-host, along with yours truly, Eddie Floyd. Now, if you want to get involved in today's show, you can stop by the Reno Town Mall. We'll put you behind the microphone. You can also call 844-790-8255, or you can text me right here at this text number, 775-384-4444. And I wish Leo was up already, because I was going to ask him a quick question. I have learned that California is, if you will, they're planning to allow the transgender males to play in the female sports in California. That just came out, breaking news. And I'm sitting there going, boy, sometimes I think California's gone nuts. I really do, you know, and it's a big concern that everybody has. And that's one of the executive orders that I absolutely felt that Donald Trump signed. Speaking of gubernatorial candidate Leo Zaki, he's there now. So, Leo, welcome to your show, bro.
Thank you, Eddie. Sorry about that, folks. Just getting everything all situated here. Yeah, I mean, the importance of Trump making these executive orders, specifically targeting California, I think is very important.
Yep. As a matter of fact, I'm sorry, but as a matter of fact, you may have missed this, or maybe you didn't, but a lot of people sent me texts. There was about 7 of them that came in and said that California's still going to allow trans athletes to compete in girls' sports despite Trump's executive order.
Wonderful. Well, that's just going to get met with cut to federal funding, because Trump doesn't play around. And
No.
They're just being obstinate for the sake of being obstinate, because it creates more lawfare, it creates more noise, and it just slows down the whole process. You ever deal with like a really obnoxious child?
Yeah, my sister.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's what California's leadership is currently behaving like.
Yeah.
Just like really out of control, being obstinate on purpose because they want to get their way so bad. Because there's a lack of discipline here. Right. They didn't get the belt.
Yeah, exactly. You hit the nail on the head.
This is all part of the process. So they're going to be obstinate. Okay, you'll see the consequences.
Yep.
You'll see the consequences.
And they'll feel them, because I tell you what, one thing, Trump and his cabinet so far, they don't seem to be messing around,
There's no time. There's no time to screw around. Everything is so messed up.
Right.
We're so in debt. We waste so much money on garbage, and this whole woke insanity has just taken over. It's just beyond crazy, and people are fed up with it. The average person in America sees how ridiculously dumb all this crap is. And just to give you an example of ridiculously dumb, I've got a little clip here I wanted to show you.
Okay. About
some studies that professors in colleges put together. Like they made these fake studies because they have to make this stuff to be able to get like paid and be a profession, a professor. I can't believe that started playing. Restart. All right, I'll let the clip do the talking, but just take a look at this insanity.
In colleges, if you're a faculty member and you want more pay or a promotion, you must publish articles in journals like these. Since the journals supposedly have high standards, some researchers were thrilled to get an email from a journal that said,
"I have now closely considered the revisions of your manuscript, dog park." And
they're laughing because they just pulled off a hoax.
"And will recommend its publication in Gender, Place, and Culture."
Look at that.
Sent so-called research to 20 prominent journals in women and gender studies, race studies, sexuality, fat, and queer studies for this journal of social work.
We rewrote a section of Mein Kampf as intersectional feminism, and this journal has accepted it.
7 of their crazy papers got in.
And one that claims that dog humping incidents can be taken as evidence of rape culture has been officially honored as excellent scholarship.
Thinking, oh my God, we got a paper in, and it's probably the craziest thing we wrote.
James Lindsay's a mathematician. Peter Boghossian teaches philosophy. Helen Pluckrose runs an academic magazine in London. They didn't really expect that the Journal of Gender, Place, and Culture would accept their paper, in which they claim to have closely examined genitals of nearly 10,000 dogs to learn about rape culture and queer performativity. Do they just not read these things and accept?
Oh no, they read them.
They read them
very
in
carefully.
detail.
How could they believe you examined 10,000 dog genitals?
We have no idea. In fact, in the first draft of that paper, we were like, there's no way they're going to believe that we did this.
We think studying topics like gender, race, and sexuality is worthwhile, and getting it right is extremely important.
They made this video to explain why they tested the journals.
A culture has developed in which only certain conclusions are allowed, like those that make whiteness and masculinity problematic.
Basically, it's not correct that there is such a thing as biological sex.
Kind of a last straw happened. There was this paper, well funded by the National Science Foundation, that studied feminist glaciology. It said that glacier science is sexist.
Because the majority of glaciological knowledge that we have today stems from knowledge created by men about men within existing masculinist stories.
The paper's remedy?
Feminist paintings of glaciers and feminist art projects that, I'm not kidding, hooked up a phone line to a glacier so you could call the glacier on the phone and listen to it. So that was the last straw.
At America.
Yeah, that's how crazy this.
Unbelievable.
But literally, but they're being funded by our government. Some of these studies. So these professors got together and made up a bunch of crap that was so crazy, and they submitted it. And some of their work got accepted.
Wow.
That's the crazy part. These are the people that the academia praises so highly. These studies, these papers, this is the crap. It's so insane.
Yep. You're right, Leo.
So they got trolled. I mean, it's just so mind-boggling to me. But that's the thing. The people that are in charge in places like California and throughout our federal government that are being these obstinate, crazy children that are making things difficult and opposing Trump every step of the way are the same people that subscribe to the bull crap that is being published in these nonsensical educational academic journals.
Amen. That's right.
So, I mean, this is what we're dealing with. This is the level of crazy that we're at, folks. Wake up, folks. Like we can't continue down this path of crazy. That's why we got Trump in there.
Did you see what Billy Hurt wrote?
Yeah,
Billy Hurt wrote.
Does anyone have the phone number for that glacier?
Glacier. It puts you on hold.
That's where we're at.
That's unbelievable. Leo.
Anyways, I just really wanted to share that. A friend of mine said
That was a great clip.
I was like, holy crap, I need to share this with the world. Okay, so anyways, we're going to take our first break here on America Matters. I'm Leo Zaki with Eddie Floyd and Shannon Lawson. We'll be right back.
In times of market volatility, it can be a good reminder to revisit your financial strategies to make sure they align with your goals. Call 775-674-2222 or visit nvretirementplanners.com. Advisory services are offered through Nevada Retirement Planners, an investment advisor in the state of Nevada. Any insurance products and services are offered through Nevada Senior Advisors. Nevada Retirement Planners are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any government agency. Nevada Retirement Planners does not provide legal or tax advice.
Can you define the 4 different parts of Medicare? Do you have Medicare prescription drug gap coverage? At Nevada Senior Advisors, we will walk through the different parts of Medicare, including Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplement, Part D prescription drug plans to help you determine which option is right for you. Visit nvsenioradvisors.com, call 775-674-2223 to set up an appointment. Nevada Senior Advisors is not affiliated with or endorsed by the federal Medicare program or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.
At A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, we've been accomplishing happy feet for over 30 years.
We offer a various range of shoe styles and sizes for both men and women.
From all-season shoes and orthotics to work boots and safety shoes, our professional and reliable staff possesses the knowledge to help you find the proper shoes to fit your needs. Hard to fit? Hard to find?
A Proper Fit Footwear is here to give our customers happy feet. We make people aware of potential foot problems as we're sizing their feet, suggesting the right arch support, and guiding them to the proper shoes for their needs.
Stop by a Proper Fit Footwear at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Reno Town Mall today, and allow the owner Mike Jones and our fabulous staff to find the perfect pair of shoes tailored to your specific needs.
A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, the home of happy feet, where comfort and your feet meet.
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now back to the show.
All right, folks, we're back with America Matters. I'm Liz Egg with Eddie Floyd and Shannon Lawson. And wow, we just had to play that crazy clip about what's going on in academia, right? It's pretty wild. Billy Hurt just writes in, do you have that CNN clip of them talking about the Doge employee big balls? What is that one? No, I don't have that.
No, we don't. And I was about to go to a serious text that came in from your friend, Leo. She said, and she put 4 O's in it. She said, welcome home. You are looking, with 4 O's, looking good, Leo. Can't wait for you to make it to Sacramento this weekend. I believe your friend Nathan Osmond is going to be speaking in Sacramento. And then she says, and now listen what a great question this is. Aren't we faced with another possible government shutdown? And what are your concerns about it?
Yeah, I certainly know that we are facing a potential government shutdown. I don't really, mind if there's a government shutdown, because that just means we stop spending money. But with the Trump administration, we want to make sure things are moving in the direction that we need them to. But apparently, as soon as March 14th, it could be a government shutdown, and Speaker Mike Johnson's working to prevent that from happening because they want to keep moving ahead with the Trump protocol and getting things back under control. And I totally agree with him in that regard. So the biggest frustration, though, that they're facing is coming from pushback from Democrats, and that's really going to be the big hang up, is now the Democrats are going to play this obstinate game. And
right.
He really wants to have a responsible funding bill that addresses long-term concerns, but obviously the Democrats don't want to have responsible spending, God forbid, right? Because they need to fund their woke gender studies and pay for more of these crazy woke journals to publish bogus articles in that clearly we know are bogus because people wrote them to be bogus. But yeah, they're just trying to be difficult because they don't want Trump to have an easy road to make America great again.
You mentioned Johnson, and I got to tell you, I didn't receive 1 or 2, but I received 3 phone calls from him this morning asking for any size donation that I could come up with to help the Republican Party over the next year and a half, and how critical it was. And you know what? I found that to, quite frankly, be a little annoying to me. 1 phone call should have been all we needed, and because Billy Hurt writes in and says that, one thing that Elon Musk has is big cojones, and he's absolutely right. What about the 100 billion? Now, well, that's the B. What about the 100 billion in disaster relief funding they're proposing?
Well, the Democrats have insisted on nearly $100 billion in new spending for disaster relief. That's including aid for communities impacted by hurricanes, wildfires, and other natural disasters. But Speaker Mike Johnson, he doesn't oppose that aid, but he questioned the scale and the source of the funding. And that's the right thing to do.
Right.
Where is this going to go? I mean, is it going to help impact, displaced trans teens? To make sure,
Or is it going to Western North Carolina where it should go?
Yeah, or is it going to go to
or
actually,
California, LA fires?
Yeah, or is it going to go to like actually cleaning up these areas and rebuilding
Yeah.
their infrastructure and making sure
Yeah.
things operate, I don't know, how they're supposed to normally, and get it all patched up? Because we saw that video that Ben Bergquam put out a couple weeks ago where he went to Asheville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And it's still just destroyed. Nothing's being done. And I've been going out around LA. I've been going into the Eaton Fire in Altadena. I've been going into the Pacific Palisades with the Palisades fire. There's still just heaps of ash and destroyed homes, and nothing's being, and buildings and businesses, and nothing's being cleaned up.
No dozers or anything, Leo?
I mean, not in any significant manner, really.
Wow.
I mean, that's the craziest part. And we've been getting a bunch of rain here in Southern California. And like I said from the very beginning, I said, if they don't get this cleaned up quick, the rains are going to come and this crap is going to wash to the sea and cause a big environmental problem. Guess what's happening?
Yep.
It's
Just
raining like hell.
Just like that. We got a lot of rain here past couple days, which is overdue. But you know what? It's on its own time, and it got here when it needed to. And unfortunately, they didn't really even begin the cleanup process in a significant manner. So now there's all this nasty, toxic sludge washing up, lapping up on the shores of the beaches here in Los Angeles. And yeah, I don't recommend going in there. I told people you're not going to go to the beach this summer. And if they don't, because they're going to have to clean it up out of the ocean too.
Amen.
And I wouldn't anticipate the beach this summer, and maybe even next summer, depending on how bad this is.
It's going to destroy the environment same way we did at the atolls when we did the nuclear bombs there. Okay, they haven't had life back around those islands ever since they put the nuclear bombs there. And
Yeah.
I tell you what, it's because of the waste product that, like you said, Leo, is being washed into the ocean right now.
Yep. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, let me ask you another question, and this actually came from the audience, and I kind of like it. They said, ask Leah, if you don't mind, about the retention of policy writers that benefited the Democrats.
Well, keeping them on, has been kind of silly, but whatever. A previous bipartisan funding proposal included policy riders such as an extension of key healthcare programs and a provision requiring ticket sellers to list full prices up front. When these provisions were later stripped from the Republican-backed spending page, Democrats accused Johnson of backtracking on arguments. Johnson, however, insisted that that his focus was on essential funding and not extraneous policy change that could be debated separately. So,
Right.
yeah.
Unbelievable. Your take on additional domestic spending increases, Leo?
Well, beyond disaster relief, Democrats have they've pushed for increased spending on social programs, education, and infrastructure projects. But we know the kind of infrastructure projects they like to fund, like the train to nowhere, which I'm glad Trump has openly called out and exposed as being money laundering, which I've been saying for years.
Right.
Even before I got into politics, I've been screaming that this is a money laundering program, and that's exactly what they're doing. So so the Democrats, what they do is they put this nice shiny bow on top, but really it's rotten underneath, right? They're gutting all the money from the inside out. It's really despicable what they're doing. And so Johnson and the Republicans have pushed back, arguing that these issues matter, but the reckless spending without office would only worsen the nation's financial situation. And that's exactly the case.
Right.
And that's exactly it. I mean, the more that they spend on nonsense, because it's all money laundering, the more it impacts us, because then they turn around and they say, well, we need more money because it wasn't enough to get the job done.
And one
As
thing,
it's stolen and disappears and no one knows where.
yeah, well,
Right. But,
no one knows where.
but
right.
I think
but,
you
God
and I
forbid
can,
Elon, audits, the Treasury, they start freaking out. They're like, you can't look at how we're spending our money. They just start freaking out because they know that they've been doing nefarious crap the whole time.
Yep. Fire him. Get him out of there.
yep.
I mean,
And
but
today, Leo, I wish I'd have been sitting right next to you when I was watching Maxine Waters and AOC go off on the guy in front of the Department of Education building because he wouldn't let them in. And Maxine Waters said, "You don't understand. I'm a congressperson." And he said, "You don't understand. I'm in charge of this front door. Nobody's getting into the Department of Education, and they're not getting in through me."
Good.
Yeah.
No, that whole
What are they doing there anyway?
Yeah.
Causing trouble? Yeah.
wasting
AOC,
money.
come on, she's enticing. She should be investigated by the DOJ right now for enticing her and Omar Ilad, whatever her name is. They're
Ilhan
enticing
Omar.
illegals and telling them to stay here and giving them advice. That is illegal.
Yeah. And we got a couple governors.
Bondi needs to get on that.
Yeah. We have a couple governors that have done the same identical thing. Let me ask you this, Leo, if you don't mind. I'm just
Yeah,
kind of
Pentagon.
jumping ahead a little bit on it because I'd like to try to understand, if you don't mind, the federal budget cuts. Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE in short, has enacted.
Well, they're doing a lot of budget restructuring, so making sure that the priorities are emphasized by whatever department is making those purchases or spending. Because I mean, they just throw money into the wind. They just light on fire, like, oh, what's it cost? Sure, no problem. Like, here's a check. Go figure it out.
Right.
So that's, I think, very important that they're doing that. I mean, that's basically putting the watchdog, or essentially the purchasing department, sort of in place. But I mean, they're looking back at it, but they need to ensure that going forward, and I'm sure they will. They have to make sure that they encourage private sector investment in certain areas like education, like healthcare, and like infrastructure. Because when you get the private sector involved, it winds up being better, because people have their investment on the line, so they don't want to see it turn to crap. They want it to be well put together and show the fruits of their endeavors. Because if it's crappy, they're going to have not educated kids. And right now, kids are graduating and they're unable to perform simple math or read at grade level.
Right.
So then they're unemployable. So that's a big problem. And then with tax policy adjustments, they want to implement targeted incentives to attract businesses and increase state revenue without direct tax hikes. And that's about emphasizing and making it easier for folks to get into business. Because if they're in business and they can create here, they pay into the tax base. And you don't need to raise the taxes to get more money out of the people in the business. You just need to make people have the ability to earn more money by creating more businesses here. So, and then also energy independence initiatives, expanding state-controlled energy production, primarily in oil and gas and renewables, to generate revenue and reduce reliance on federal funding. Because if states can be self-sufficient, then they don't need the money to come in from the federal government, which impacts all Americans. So,
yeah, that's right.
Makes a lot of sense. But yes, we got to take our bottom of the hour break here on America Matters. When we get back, we're going to continue the conversation. I'm Leo Zach with Eddie Floyd and Shannon Lawson. We'll be right back.
We're talking to Victor from Precision Diamonds. Victor, we have talked before about the fact that you started 27 years ago in Park Lane Mall in a little kiosk. You are now in your own building across the street from the convention center. You've had to do something right.
Well, as we like to think that hard work, you like to think that it does pay off, but you get lucky along the way. You worked hard, you pay attention, and you get yourself ready. So hopefully when the right opportunity comes up to buy a beautiful building like we just have, you triple your size, you cut your overhead by half, and now you know that you're more competitive than ever.
Plus, you've had a chance to use all of the things you learned from that little kiosk in Park Lane Mall.
Oh man, along the way, I'll tell you, as far as writing that lease check every month, boy, there were times that it was really hard to do, so you learn from your landlords, and it was really great feeling to say goodbye to the landlord. This has allowed us to truly become your local jeweler, your personal shopper.
Thank you, Victor. Precision Diamonds, your local jeweler across from the convention center.
At a Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, we've been accomplishing happy feet for over 30 years.
We offer a various range of shoe styles and sizes for both men and women. From all-season shoes and orthotics to work boots and safety shoes, our professional and reliable staff possesses the knowledge to help you find the proper shoes to fit your needs. Hard to fit? Hard to find?
A Proper Fit Footwear is here to give our customers happy feet. We make people aware of potential foot problems as we're sizing their feet. suggesting the right art support and guiding them to the proper shoes for their needs.
Stop by a Proper Fit Footwear at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Reno Town Mall today and allow the owner Mike Jones and our fabulous staff to find the perfect pair of shoes tailored to your specific needs.
A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, the home of Happy Feet, where comfort and your feet meet.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now back to the show.
All right, folks, we're back with America Matters. I'm Leo Zaki with Eddie Floyd and Shannon Lawson. And we've been just covering a bunch of topics today. I want to move on and talk about the Cal Fire wildfire prevention grants that are going on here in California. So, but before we jump into that, Deanne Tate wrote in. She said, Elon, is that Elon, like Elon Omar, is doing podcasts explaining illegals' rights and how to defy ICE. She didn't come into this country legally. She came under another person's name and married her brother to get him in. It's a mess, and she needs to be deported.
Absolutely. Amen.
Yeah.
That's illegal.
I can't believe they even allowed her to marry her own brother.
Well, that's America.
Yeah, but
That's the left of America.
Yeah, left of America. Yeah. Good one, Eddie.
I have a question for you before you get into another topic, Leo, and this comes from Sarah. And Sarah, not Sarah in Sacramento. This is, not Sarah. It's Cheryl in Carson City, Nevada, our capital. And she said, would you please ask Mr. Zaki what his opinion is of the Doge goals?
Well, I think they're pretty good because they want to cut budget spending and cut waste in our government, which has been the biggest cause and source of all our debt. It's just the mismanagement, and trimming the fat is what needs to happen. Elon Musk, when he acquired X, they got rid of 75% of the staff, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You see any problems with it running? Is it running?
It's running better. Running better.
Right? No, because there's a bunch of bureaucratic waste. And that's the biggest issue that we have here in America is our government is too big. It is way, way too robust. It micromanages the crap out of everything, and that's all due to bureaucracy. And it loves bureaucracy because every step of the way costs money. And they get money from the infinite money tree called the U.S. taxpayer. They also print it out of thin air from the privately owned central bank called the Federal Reserve.
Wow.
So we've got a lot of problems in that regard. So what we need to do is have them go in and rein in the spending like they're currently doing. I've told everybody I have my reservations about Elon Musk, but I said, look, we'll let him do what he's going to do. We'll see how this all plays out. So far it seems to be working pretty good. Any improvement is better than what we were on the previous trajectory. So I'll take it as a win.
Right. Another one I think is doing a great job helping everybody along that border is Homan. I think Homan's doing a great job, Leo.
Yeah, Tom Homan's kicking butt.
Yeah.
I'm really loving what he's been doing. I mean, he just talks like a regular person, which is what I really love about him. And it's really simple. It's not a complicated mess. You came here legally, you broke the law, you got to go.
That's it.
It's that simple. And, going after the worst offenders, the worst criminals first and getting them out, I think is paramount to securing the safety in this country. Obviously you want to get the murderers and the rapists out of here first because they're the ones doing the most heinous stuff. But after that, you got to get rid of everybody who broke the law, because if you're going to want to love this country and live in this country, you got to respect this country. And part of respecting it is by following the laws and coming here the right way.
Let me ask you this question, and this is one that, as I was going through the audience today, it came up about 3 or 4 times, and I said, well, wait a minute. Let me ask Leo his opinion, because I don't know anybody brighter than him when it comes to things like that, because they were saying FEMA is a scam, period.
Well, yeah, it is a scam. I mean, look how they've been wasting money and building out all sorts of just nonsense. I mean, what happened with the folks in Lahaina? They got what? $750. Same thing with the folks in Asheville, North Carolina. except the ones in North Carolina, it was a loan. So there were
Right.
strings attached. And then here in California, I haven't seen any FEMA vehicles. I haven't seen them doing anything of significance. It's a waste.
You know, I'll tell you, Leo, it saddened me because I believe you were in the Palisades, and it was a video that I was watching, and I said, "Hey, I know that guy," and you know, it looked more like you were walking in Gaza than it did the Pacific Palisades.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a bomb went off there. It's just everything is destroyed. But getting back to the FEMA's poor spending, I mean, they were literally funding illegal immigrants. They were paying all this money, and Deanne Tate's writing, and she says FEMA employees stay in 4-star hotels while South Carolinians freeze to death in tents. Yeah, it's a scam, and I have to agree with her 100% on that one.
Me
I mean,
too.
how can you allow people to be freezing to death? You're the Federal Emergency Management, authority, and their agency, whatever. They're just wasting money on crap. They got to take care of their people, not helping the people. Every dime that they get in is supposed to go in helping people get their lives back together, be able to be fed and sheltered and cared for, and get whatever disaster situation that they've been faced cleaned up and the rebuild process underway. But they drag their feet with it because the longer it takes, the more money they need, the more money they spend. This goes back to the whole concept of that there's this overinflated government that's too full of bureaucracy and bullcrap. And it just gets they get their pound of flesh at every possible juncture. That's what they do.
Right.
So, but I mean,
Unbelievable.
these, because I keep talking about the cleanup because I'm still seeing burned out homes and nothing really significantly taking place in any of these areas. That if they're to do the cleanup stuff, I mean, first you have to declare a disaster, and so the president or the state governor declares an area disaster, so that unlocks the FEMA funding. Then there's the funding allocation where FEMA authorizes the funds to cover the debris removal and infrastructure repair and emergency response, like I had mentioned. And then they get the contract bidding. So all these people come in and they bid for the contracts to do the cleanup and to do, the rebuilding and whatever it is. And those proposals are done at platforms like sam.gov, that's sam.gov, or usaspending.gov, so that people can secure cleanup contracts. So if you have a good bid, then you would theoretically get the contract and go and do your thing. And then after that, then the approval and award process takes place, and FEMA or a state agency like Cal Recycle here in California, for example, would award a contract based on cost estimates and technical ability and urgency. And so as long as you can come through on getting the job done, you can get the contract.
Wow.
But this process is taking a really, really, really long time. And I've been seeing footage of areas where they've just got all these vehicles staged and nothing being done. And it's kind of like, all right, where are the people? Why isn't the equipment out there just cleaning things up? And as I mentioned before, with the rains washing all this stuff into the sea, it creates a whole new problem, which means FEMA is going to need more government money to go and give out more government contracts to clean up another different type of disaster. So in a way, they kind of like the fact that things are bad and go from bad to worse so they can get more money.
Right.
And, it's up to their discretion who they hire. I mean, obviously, they have those protocols. Are supposed to hire the best and the most effective, but is that ever necessarily the case every time? No, they probably like to work with people they have previous relationships with that, maybe have a way of, handing that envelope of cash to them under the table, that for at least the people that make the decisions in those agencies.
Yeah.
It's not an unheard of thing. It's not a, this is just, talking, a talking point. It's something that really does take place.
Right. As a matter of fact, and this is just a personal opinion, but I don't think the people realize what I personally have realized because of what took place at the Bikini Atoll is the environmental impact is going to be far greater than the fires you just had, Leo, as far as money spent, I think.
Yeah, I mean, because that's a whole nother, like, how do you measure environmental catastrophe like that when you're talking about sea life and coastline being just decimated because of toxins. Like, how do you put a number on that?
Right.
Well, you can put a number on, a valuation of a piece of property. Like, how much it's going to, that property is worth. You're going to know how much it costs to rebuild that based on building materials and time and labor. But how do you measure something that like all that killing all the sea life and the, the seabirds that inhabit the area, and then, cleaning up the water to making it to levels where, it's safe, and who knows what the hell, safe levels even mean based by on our own government stuff. Cause they sure love giving us poison in our food. So, who the hell knows what safe really is for going in the ocean.
Right.
So, there's a lot of variables at place when it gets to that kind of level. So again, that's why this overinflated bureaucracy just slows down the process and wastes more money. And that's why, we talk about the border and Tom Homan, he keeps it really, really simple. You broke the law, you're here illegally, you're getting deported, end of story, boom, boom.
Right.
As
And
because what they should be doing here is just like, all right, the fires are out, the cleanup crews go in, grab a shovel, get the dozers, get the dump trucks, start cycling them through, and let's take these to the dump facilities and dump sites and just get them and get it out of the way. Go. But then they also, because they get paid by the pound too of material that they remove. That's another thing that a lot of folks don't know. Is that's why when they talk about like, the soil remediation and all that crap, and they got to scrape like a foot of soil off the surface.
Right.
Because they're making more money doing that.
Wow. I did not know that.
Think about it. Like you had a fire on, and the house burns down, and then they're talking about taking not only the debris away, but like a foot of dirt underneath the debris. So a foot of earth covering a 5,000 square foot, lot. That's a lot of weight that then has to get paid out for. So it's
a hell of a lot of taxpayer money, Leo.
Right. It's all, but that's the whole thing. They get paid by the pound, and so they find ways to, come up with bogus as to why they need to do that. Like, I don't really fully into the whole soil remediation thing. I can see how that could get, worse because of, it getting rained on and then seeping into the soil like that. But again, that's why they're dragging their feet and letting this process go on and on and on, because the worse it gets, the more money they can squeeze out of it. It's really messed up what they're doing. And it's a scam to a degree. Obviously we need to have a cleanup, but the way that they go about it incentivizes them to have an ability to gain more money out of it than they should otherwise. And they are totally numb to the consequences, just don't care. It's because it's about making money. That's all it is. It's all about taking advantage of people. So with that, we're going to take our last break here on America Matters. I'm Leo Zach with Eddie Floyd and Shannon Lawson. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Nathan Osmond of OsmondHomeLoans.com. I'm part of the elite team of Security Home Mortgage and want to become your preferred lender. There's never been a better time to lock in the rate. Unlike many of our competitors, we will not outsource your loan. Our setup, processing, underwriting, and closing staff are all in-house and will help you every step of the way. If you're looking to buy a home in Utah, or if you live here and wish to take advantage of historically low rates, then I am your mortgage man. Be sure to visit OsmondHomeLoans.com today to receive a free quote. That's OsmondHomeLoans.com.
NMLS number 2043192.
Hi, I'm Noreen Leary, CEO of the Veterans Guest House. Guest House is a home away from home for our veterans and their families who travel to Reno for medical care. Our house is more than just a warm bed. It's a place of camaraderie where veterans can find support and long-lasting friends. We serve veterans, men and women, young and old, Navy, Army, Marines, Coast Guard, and Air Force. Wherever they hail from and whatever their circumstance, the Veterans Guest House is ready to support them. The reason we feel so strongly about our mission is that we know that many veterans would forgo their medical treatments because they simply can't afford the accommodations. The guest house is one of a kind in the country, funded entirely through private donations. Want to know how you can help? There are many ways you can be involved, from volunteering, providing dinners, or supplying items from our wish list. Find out more about the guest house at www.veteransguesthouse.org. Serving veterans today, tomorrow, and for years to come.
Have you been injured in an accident? Trust Adriana Guzman-Freilich at AGF Law, your local personal injury law firm in Reno. At AGF Law, we pride ourselves on being honest, hardworking, and ethical. Let's meet in person to understand your case and fight for your rights. Located near South Virginia and Plum, we're always ready to help. Don't navigate the aftermath of an accident alone. Call Adriana at 775-453-9595 or visit adrianalegal.com. Your recovery is our priority, and we're committed to getting you the justice you deserve.
Are you shy and don't want to talk on the air? Text us your questions or comments to 775-237-2266. Now back to the show.
All right, folks, we're back with America Matters. I'm Leo Zach with Eddie Floyd and Shama Lawson. I wanted to just play this clip here for you guys where, I'd mentioned that I'd seen some videos of just stuff being staged and nothing being done and how FEMA is a scam. So just take a listen.
So this is how the government scam works. I'm here in Altadena, California, and behind me, setting up their operation here, is Anvil, who apparently got the FEMA contract for the debris cleanup here in Altadena. If you don't know about Anvil, this is the same company that caused millions of dollars of damage up in Santa Cruz a few years ago doing fire cleanup. So the federal government has brought in people on federal contracts, which is prevailing wage, to do the cleanup, which is going to cost 4 to 5 times what it would cost local contractors to do it here in California. So that's the first ripoff. Second of all, these guys often get paid by the pound of debris that they remove, which is why we see after a lot of these cleanups that they're scraping feet of soil off of the top of properties that later needs to be backfilled before construction can commence. So this is a ripoff. You got federal government contracting their cronies to come in after disasters and make a fortune off of taxpayers.
What do you think, Shannon?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. 4 or 5 times as much, definitely. Why can't we use the local contractors? That, that's where this Doge is going to come in.
Yeah. And I mean, it's going to be, as terrible as this fire has been for so many folks here in Southern California, I mean, the only silver lining really is that with Trump in office, with him making this big hard stance against California, it's just going to be very exposing for how poorly managed the state is, for how criminal they are with the spending and of the money. And
Yeah,
it's all going to get showed.
You got the Democrats arguing that, you got to scrape all that topsoil off because it's contaminated. That's crap.
Right.
That's extra weight. They're getting paid by the pound.
Yep.
Can anybody do anything right? There's no morals anymore.
Right. Well, because they've been indoctrinated with this whole concept that you can just lie, cheat, and steal, and it's okay. As long, who cares? As long as you're keeping the people that are paying you happy, doesn't matter, because they don't care, because they have the blank checkbook that they can go to.
One of the other questions that I was asking the audience, Leo, and it hit home because I actually built the Santa Cruz Manufactured Home Park next to Natural Bridges State Park in Santa Cruz. And they said, would you please ask Leo about the Santa Cruz fallout? What's she talking about?
Well, so there was $7.1 million in damage back in 2020. Anvil Builders was hired out by Cal Recycle to handle post-fire debris removal in the Santa Cruz County area. But instead of helping the fire victims, Anvil's work caused severe damage to the roads and the drainage culverts and private properties. So just by doing a poor job and not, being mindful of what they're doing, it caused more damage than good. And on Last Chance Road, for example, this area was devastated by the fire. But the heavy equipment that Anvil had brought in left the roads in worse shape than before the fire. And the fire survivors are trying to rebuild their homes. We were met with millions more in repair costs because they then had to help pay for the roads to get repaired so they could even be in there. And that just Last Chance Road alone cost $2.7 million. And then it was $7.1 million total countywide for just because they just did a crappy job. And so the response from Anvil Builders was just, offer people or offer them $75,000 in repair, which is less than 1% of the cost. And it just left people with that. And California officials pointed fingers at each other. So it was just all this back and forth blame game. Who's responsible for what?
Right.
But
incompetence and inexperience.
And I got a quick question for you, okay? And FCC might get upset with me, but where in the hell was Gavin Newsom during this entire thing?
Well, he didn't do anything about it. That's typical Gavin Newsom, right? Where was he? What would he be doing? No, he did nothing. I mean, in response to the growing crisis, the Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisors demanded that Newsom intervene, and they formally petitioned him to do that, and to hold Anvil builders accountable and force them to pay the repairs, and he didn't do anything about it. But that leads to, well, why would he not do anything about it? Do they have some sort of previous relationship?
Yes, kickbacks or bribes.
In fact,
or is it his family?
Right, but they do. What an interesting concept. This is the whole thing I talk about, right? The one hand washes the other, that these people all know each other, that they're helping each other get rich off of our own backs. Yeah, so turns out that Alan Guy, who became the CEO and who was the CEO and the co-founder of Anvil Builders back in 2010, was working as a project manager for Webcore Builders from 2005 to 2009, where and that's when he co-founded Anvil Builders, served as the CEO. Alan Guy was appointed by Governor Gavin Newsom to the California Contractors State License Board on February 25th, 2022. Wow. So this role, basically he serves as a B general contract member representing the interests of the general building contractors. So is there a previous relationship? Absolutely.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
So pretty wild, huh? I mean, who would have thought? Right? Because, as a member of the CSLB, Alan Guy would have a role making decisions related to contractor licensing. However, while being a board member, while board members participate in discussions and vote on various matters related to contractor regulations, they typically do not directly vote to give or remove a license from a specific company. And so that process of granting, renewing, and revoking contractors' licenses involves a more formal procedure with input from the board staff, and in some cases, legal hearings. So there's a lot of back and forth, and that there's things that they can and can't necessarily do. But board members like Alan Guy would likely participate in policy development and enforcement actions and regulatory decisions that shape the licensing and oversight processes, that the actual decisions to remove the licenses will generally be based on specific violations of California contractor laws or regulations. So, yeah.
Are they doing anything right now, Leo, as far as clearing the underbrush and the dead trees?
They're burnt out.
I mean,
they're gone. They're burnt.
Yeah.
They're done.
No, not there hasn't been anything significant like in fire prevention moving forward. There hasn't been any of that.
Right. Well, that's very concerning.
Yeah, well, hopefully they're gonna see the light, but I don't think they will, because this whole woke environmentalism that has taken root here in California.
The green cult.
Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, that's the case with that. We got a lot of work to do here in California, and it's going to take common sense to bring it back. The state is horribly underwater when it comes to debt, the mismanagement, the fact that there's all this profiteering taking place from every possible angle, where people are just trying to get their pound of flesh, their pile of cash that they can. And all the while, tens of thousands of people are without homes, without businesses. Some are even still without power. This is just, it's egregious, this mismanagement.
Right.
And as the devastation only gets worse because of their slow response and they're dragging their feet, people suffer, the environment suffers. The whole thing that these woke lefties want to stop.
Right.
It just keeps
Well,
getting.
you'll like this, Leo. If there's one thing that comes up over and over again in all my emails and texts, they say Leo Zaki is the common sense candidate for the state of California, and I love that line.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. That's exactly what we need to bring back here in California. That's exactly what I intend to do. And it's really simple. Nothing needs to be this complex. You have a problem, you take care of it. You see a problem coming up because of things that are already in place, address it now, nip it in the bud, so that if it does happen, it's as small of an impact as possible. Like managing our wildlands, that will help prevent forest fires. Having water and infrastructure that's able to transport that water that works will make it a lot easier to fight those fires. Having a robust fire department that can put out the blazes as soon as they are detected
Right.
will make things a lot better. I mean, that's specifically talking about wildfires. And if we just build out a more robust fire department with, because again, the DC-10s that everybody's talking about that come in and drop the FOSS check, those come from Quebec, Canada, and we have to pay to have them here helping us fight the fires. It's not that they just donate the pilots and the planes out of the kindness of their heart and they say, don't worry, no cost. Of course it comes at a cost. But again, there's no reason that California shouldn't have 20 of these damn planes. There's no reason that California shouldn't have fire hydrants that have water in them, let alone the reservoirs having water in them. There's no reason that it should be this just broken.
Right.
Everything's broken and failed. But it's because they don't spend the money the right way and there's no oversight. And that's why DOGE is the Department of Government Efficiency is doing a great job of cleaning out the garbage. And we're not even a full month into Trump's presidency. We're 3 weeks?
Going on 3 weeks. Yep.
Wow. Just think about all the stuff that we're learning about. And this is a tip of the iceberg. We got a lot more to learn.
Right.
So, look,
he's done more in those 3 weeks than Biden did his entire term.
No doubt about it. Probably his entire career. So with that, we are unfortunately out of time. I want to thank everybody who got involved in today's show and for tuning in. We'll see all of you next week. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Have fun.